Okay, folks, we have returned. Let's start case 47. I'm going to go to the next case for free. Doom Service. Matthew, I'm beginning to understand why they put the Grim in Gritton Chapel. Spooky murders and bizarre disappearances seem to be an everyday occurrence in this eerie place. Our grimmest discovery so far has been Gryphon's Sanctuary, where murder is the only escape from being lobotomized, and where an allegedly sane Faith Woodford was locked up simply because her family deemed her an embarrassment. We don't know what other shady goings-on are happening at the asylum, but I can't help but wonder whether the Rochester family is involved. After all, the devil did say the Rochesters have plenty more nefarious schemes at play in Grim Chapel. The Gryphon staff has been tight-lipped so far, though we've heard most of them stay at the nearby Claiborne Hotel. We should head there and see what we can find out. Matthew, did I hear you mention the Claiborne Hotel? We just had reports of a murder there. A murder? Then all the more reason to go to the Claiborne at once. Are y'all them detective folk? I'm One-Eyed Jill, the bartender at this here hotel. I'm the one who found the body. I heard the Admiral screaming blue murder in room 237, telling someone to get away. He was alone and dead by the time I got there. So the body's still in the room? Matthew, we need to get there straight away. I gotta do something about this if I'm gonna continue filming these cases. Broken painting. There we are. Got the first star right away.
Despite the loss of Cal Poly on Saturday, she tied her career best of 10 blocks this season.
Well, the Admiral's certainly dead all right, Matthew. Admiral Oak. I can't see any discernible wounds on his body, although that abject look of terror on his face certainly indicates signs of distress. Hopefully Dick can shed more light on how the Admiral died. I see you also picked up this broken painting, Matthew. Let's put it back together and see if it provides any further clues. And I agree. Another conversation with One-Eyed Jill, the hotel bartender who heard the victim being attacked, is paramount. I need to get some stars. So sit tight, everybody. Okay, folks. I got 8 stars. I'll examine the painting first. Pretty sure this is going to be the one that's going to lead to an examine.
It comes when your insurance company says they'll only pay 3/4 of what it takes to replace it. What are you supposed to do?
There we go. Perfect 9.
Now, if you had Liberty Mutual car replacement,
the dedication on this painting you restored reads, "To the Admiral, superlative chums for eternity, G. Stravinsky." G. Stravinsky? You're right. This must be Gregory Stravinsky, director of Gryphon Sanctuary. We recently met Mr. Stravinsky while solving the murder of one of the asylum's doctors. They both had rather unconventional ideas on how to treat their patients. This inscription indicates Mr. Stravinsky was good friends with our victim. We had better pass on the news of his best friend's demise.
The Omaha Steaks Savings Celebration Package includes 4 tender top sirloin steaks, 4 extra thick boneless pork chops.
My guess would be Stravinsky is the killer, but it's way too early for me to speculate. You again, Senior Trooper Matthew. Can't I be left in peace in my own home?
Will be delivered straight to your home or the destination of your choice to enjoy with friends and family. As a Special thanks from us to you.
Home?
Order right
Do you
now.
mean to say you're living at this hotel, Mr. Stravinsky?
That's 8 total.
Indeed, I'm one of the many Gryphon staff who consider the Claiborne their humble abode. Although I'm the only one with a grand suite, of course. Mr. Stravinsky, I'm afraid we have some sad news to impart. Admiral Oliver Oak was found murdered in his bathroom earlier. We believe... The Admiral's been murdered? How can this be? That's what we're trying to determine. It seems you knew the victim rather well. Oh, I've known Ollie since we were young whippersnappers chasing everything in a skirt. Those are the days. And with both of us staying in this hotel, it was just like old times again. Is there anyone you know who would have wanted to harm the Admiral? Oh no. Ollie was a gentle beast. He wouldn't have hurt a fly. Oh, what a tragedy he's gone.
Excuse me, I know this is an awful position, but I
Okay.
and I was wondering, I was hoping that maybe
I know I gotta find some other way to record my screen and not have to use my tablet each and every time. Jill, you said you heard noises coming from the Admiral's room. Did you also happen to see anything or anyone before you entered his room? I can't say I did. My eyesight ain't the best. Of course. And is there anything you can tell us about the victim? The Admiral was one of the permanent residents at the Claiborne. He reminded me of when this here hotel was all swanky. I've served Broadway stars. Hell, even the Odd King and Queen, don't you know? Admiral Oak had his strange ways, like hanging around the hotel bar, despite never touching a drop of alcohol, but he was a harmless old fella. So the Admiral enjoyed spending time in this bar. In that case, Senior Trooper Matthew and I shall take your lead to have a look around.
don't be cynical, Torrance. It's an honor to be nominated. Aren't you J.B. Fletcher? Well, yes. Mrs. Fletcher, I just need pictures. Could you please sign my autograph book? Certainly. This is Horace Lynch. Pleased to meet you. You know, Mrs. Fletcher, I'm a writer, Torrance. Not a real writer, not yet, but I've written a short story, and I was wondering if you would read it and tell me what you think. Well,
Ah, typewriter is a clue.
please go with me.
Dog,
So important.
gramophone, mousetrap, waiter's tray.
My name and my address are on the cover. Oh, everything else? Let's go.
And I do get the first star here.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Stray dogs, alcoholic poets, beginning writers, and the most.
Matthew, the piece of paper in this typewriter you picked up is titled The Admiral. This must be pertaining to our victim. The rest of the text is unreadable. Let's hope your dozen kit can help. And I agree, a serving tray is always worth looking through. Let's get to it.
Always so well. Over and out of the counter.
Well, everyone said I should write about something I knew. My next book's literary.
Really?
Yes. I'm reading the Great Books Library, start to
I'm
finish.
gonna do what I can to possibly try and find something.
Aristotle. Well, the greatest novels have always been about the war, haven't they? I take my book, Korean Chronicle. I set the standard for a generation. What's this new one about, Captain? Well, you're being so secretive about it. Well, it's the significant novel. Remarkable. As far as I know, we've only spent a week in Vietnam.
Matthew, the typewritten text you uncovered seems to be a detailed description of the victim. Listen to this. The Admiral was a portly chap, a domineering presence. His voice boomed across the room. It continues, reminiscent of the cannons he had deployed countless times against the marauding enemies of the ships he once captained. Whoever wrote this description was clearly very interested in the victim. But why? You're right, Evie's our best bet at revealing the author of this in-depth character analysis.
10 years ago, I didn't have a black belt. Thunder quitters,
9 hours, okay.
Petals aching, hope parting, deep thrust, thunder's torture.
Oh, give me ice on my skull. Just mean.
I'm on the phone.
Ooh, hotel room key. You found a room key in the serving tray. Oh, you're right. This key is for room 238, right next door to our victim's room. We need to figure out who resides in room 238. I'm sure you'll have no trouble deciphering the name on that key, Matthew.
No, too much bad grammar. Thomas, are you all right? It's all right. It's all right.
Okay. Go.
I want to tear you apart, you pathetic thing.
They asked you just
Go Komodo. So this hotel key belongs to a certain G. Okamoto. Ah, yes. George Okamoto is the Grim Chapel historian. We've met him a couple of times, most prominently during our investigation into the murder of Aubrey Miller. Well, if Mr. Okamoto has been sleeping right next door to our victim, we definitely need to talk to him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was close to
Senior Trooper Matthew, marvelous to see you again. Come, enjoy my favorite corpse survivor cocktail with me. It does look delicious, but maybe another time, Mr. Okamoto. What brings you to this hotel? The Claiborne is steeped in legend, Senior Trooper Matthew. I've come here to immerse myself in the hotel's ambience while I pen my account of this historic milieu. Talking about ambience, the man in the room next to yours, Admiral Oak, was murdered a short while ago. Did you hear or see anything? I'm afraid not. I've been in the hotel bar since this morning. But let me tell you about another murder that took place at the hotel. The very bar we're in, Mad Jack's, was named after the killer in that historic case. Maybe another time, Mr. Okamoto. We'll call on you again if we need you. Enjoy your stay at the hotel. And I'll be checking out myself and getting the rest of the stars. See y'all then. Okay, everybody, we have returned. Let's get the results of the autopsy from Dick. Matthew, your latest victims made me think twice about playing pranks on people. I'm scared I'll kill them. What exactly are you saying, Dick? Your Admiral was frightened to death. Frightened to death? I didn't think that was possible. Well, in an individual of sound mind and body, I would agree. However, my autopsy on the victim showed not only that he had a weak heart, but also that he'd been drugged with a hallucinogenic substance. This drug would have made the Admiral see everything in a distorted fashion, while almost amplifying his fears. The mind-bending composite, also called the Admiral, caused the Admiral to have a heart attack and die when he saw whatever frightened him. What a scaremongering murderer. Did you happen to find out anything else about our killer? Well, this hallucinogenic substance was a unique chemical concoction, the likes of which I have never seen. Which means your killer created the drug themselves. You're therefore looking for an individual with a sound knowledge of pharmacology. The killer may have pharmaceutical skills, but they'll be no match for your crime-solving prowess, Matthew. That's a new one. In terms of murder weapons, fright is a new one. And the description of the Admiral. Matthew, this piece of prose is possibly the most exciting thing you've ever sent me. Ever. Oh, Evie, do tell us why a paragraph of typewritten text got you tickled pink. These notes on the victim are the musings of none other than Johnny Torrance. Johnny who? Don't tell me you've never heard of Johnny Torrance. Why, Mr. Torrance, only the greatest writer alive. I'd recognize his piercing prose and fiery wit anywhere. His novels span so many genres. How I wish I could write like him. Well, however talented a writer this Johnny Torrance is, he certainly spent quite some time analyzing our victim. Let's have a word with him, Matthew. Let's see what this guy has to say. Scorching. No. Blistering. No. That's still not quite right. Mr. Torrance? Oh, I am sorry. I was on a quest for the optimal adjective. A long and treacherous journey. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. If you really must know, I've got writer's block in spades. I came to this hotel in the hopes that some peace and solitude would get my creative juices flowing again. Mr. Torrance, Senior Trooper Matthew and I are here to investigate a murder and... Oh yes, the unfortunate Admiral. I heard he'd been prematurely expunged from this world. We found your detailed description of the Admiral. You seem to have gotten quite close to him during your time here. Oh, I didn't know the Admiral at all. My literary portrait of him was simply conjecture. I imagine at the possibilities of anyone interesting I see. It's a shame I never actually got to speak to the old chap while he was still alive. He seemed fascinating. Well, please stay in the hotel, Mr. Torrance, as we may need to ask you some further questions. Matthew, we wanted to investigate the Claiborne Hotel because of its connection with Gryphon's Sanctuary, but were waylaid by the most bizarre of murders. Admiral Oliver Oak was, to put it simply, frightened to death. But by what? What we do know is that the Admiral was made to take a hallucinogenic drug that rendered him delusional and caused him to have a fatal heart attack. Our list of suspects so far includes hotel bartender One-Eyed Jill, who seems as old as the hotel itself, and Asylum director Gregory Stravinsky, the victim's best friend. We also have author Johnny Torrance, who showed a keen interest in the Admiral's character, and historian George Okamoto, who is staying right next door to the victim. Oh. Could any of them have reason to... Whoa. Matthew, did you hear that? Ah, what the devil is that? Well, we're going to find out what that is in Chapter 2. So don't go anywhere, people. See y'all then. Alright folks, we have returned. Let's start Chapter 2 of Doom Service. It sounds like it's coming from the hotel's garden maze. You want to go check the maze out, Matthew? Okay, but let's be careful. We don't know what's in there. I'm gonna go back to the cat this time. Torn poster. Oh, a glowing dog. There we go. Oh my god. Is that a dog? It's glowing. Don't worry, Matthew. My parents have hunting hounds. I know how to handle an angry dog. Down, boy, down. There, that's better. Good boy. Matthew, I have to admit, I've never seen a glowing dog before. I agree. We must take him to the lab. I just hope he'll behave. As for the rest, this letter contains the message to the Claiborne Hotel. I demand Admiral Oliver Oak be evicted immediately from room 237. Failure to do so shall result in dire consequences. Why would someone have wanted our victim kicked out of his hotel room? Let's see if searching our records for the logo on the letterhead will help identify the disgruntled letter writer. And we had better reassemble this torn poster. I agree. So this could be the last time I use my tablet for this, permitting that, first of all, start the analysis of the glowing dog. Now let's get to the logo. Grim Chapel. There we are. Grim Chapel Historical Society. Matthew, the logo at the top of the letter demanding the victim's eviction from his hotel room belongs to the Grim Chapel Historical Society. And we do know of one individual who belongs to the society, George Okamoto. But why would Mr. Okamoto demand the victim be expelled from the hotel? I agree. We must ask him. What does he have to say now? Mr. Okamoto, why did you demand that Admiral Oak be evicted from room 237? Now, I have a perfectly acceptable explanation, Senior Trooper Matthew. It's a known fact that everything supernatural that happened at the Claiborne happened in room 237, which is why I made a specific request to stay in that room. I even concocted my own anti-sleep medication so I could stay up all night and not miss out on a single paranormal activity. But that pompous Admiral was stubborn as a mule and steadfastly refused to vacate the premises. It was infuriating. Well, Mr. Okamoto, if you went to extreme measures to evict the Admiral from his room, your next accommodation will be a prison cell. There we go. Matthew, this object's a periodic table. It lists all the chemical elements that have been discovered on Earth. Charlie's told me all about it. Oh, well spotted. The owner's name is written on the table. Property of Fleur Stone, Gryphon Sanctuary's pharmacist. This Miss Stone must be one of the Gryphon staff staying at the Claiborne. We should talk to her. Well, let's see what she has to say now. Miss Stone, we know you're a pharmacist at Gryphon Sanctuary. Are you one of the staff members permanently residing at this hotel? Yes, I use chemistry to ease the suffering of the poor souls locked up in Gryphon by day and stay in this decrepit place by night. What's it to you? We're here because one of the hotel guests, an Admiral Oliver Oak, was found murdered in his hotel bathroom earlier, and the Admiral's dead, but it was only yesterday that I saw him swanning around the hotel like he owned the place. So you knew the Admiral? Only by sight. I kept my distance from him. I like my solitude so I can forget the horrors I've seen at Gryphon. Have you been to the Asylum? Just visiting it is enough to make you lose your marbles. Yes, we might have more questions to you about that later on. For now, please stay in the hotel. And I'll see you guys when the glowing dog is done. See y'all. Alright folks, we have returned, and let's get the results of the glowing dog. Matthew, this is the first time you've sent me a live animal. I've named him Cujo. I'd keep him, but he'd already tried to eat my lab samples. You certainly seem friendly with the beast, Viola, but tell us, why is Cujo glowing? Because someone covered the poor pup in phosphorescent paint. Why on earth would anyone do that? Well, I found shards of porcelain in Cujo's fur, which matched the tiles in the victim's bathroom. This places Cujo at the scene of the murder. The hallucinogenic drugs ingested by the victim would have made him see this glowing dog as a satanic monster unleashed from the depths of hell itself. So the killer used this dog to frighten our victim to death. What a devious trick. Viola, were there any clues on the dog pertaining to our killer? The clues literally jumped out, Matthew. You see, this pooch was suffering from a bad case of fleas when you brought him in, which means your killer will be too. Yeesh. We'd better make sure to deflea the killer before sending them to the courtroom. And good idea, Matthew. Now that we know how the murder happened, let's inspect the scene of the crime once again.
Detective salary, and I don't take money.
No, you just take husbands. Who?
Who is playing games now?
Oh, you mean Andrew's wife, Christina?
I thought she wanted to open the case again.
Huh. You know your friend Sonia's dead.
I know.
And now let's get to the bathtub.
She was a wonderful, but I have to go on with my life. I don't know who would want to kill her. She was very innocent.
Innocent of what? Why don't we continue this conversation down at the unit?
No?
That would be good.
Am I under arrest?
Yeah.
Oh. Then I think I say no. I'm all dressed up.
You come down to the station tomorrow morning. We've got some questions that we need answered, and it's going to take a while. So why don't you wear something a little bit more comfortable?
I'm too busy.
Look, we know you're illegal. We're not vice. We don't care how much undeclared income you have or how many gifts you've received. But if you're not in our office by 9 a.m., immigration will be at your house by 9:05. That I can personally guarantee you.
This is America. We can't do this.
Sweetheart, let me let you in on a little secret. Cops are the same everywhere.
Oh, there we go.
For 60% of the country that believes we're credible, I do believe we're doing a good job for those 60%. But my concern is, how do we get the 40% that has so shut us off, turned us off, and said they don't believe anything we do?
Matthew, this ghoulish funeral wreath has R.I.P. Admiral written across it.
Get them back to at least.
We close off this bathroom following the murder, which means someone sent this wreath to the victim while he was still alive. How morbid. Let's see if a sample of that yellow goo on the wreath can help us identify who sent it. And I agree, the victim's vanity case is worth a rummage through.
New Robin Taco Tavern Double with guacamole, tortilla strips, and zesty salsa. One of 3 burgers, only $6.99 each. Anytime with bottomless steak fries, of course. Let's burger.
Okay.
Introducing new used for
Take care of this right now.
All the cars all in one place. Auto Trader. If you can't find your next car here, you won't find it anywhere.
There we are. Oh, and I just got the 9 in time. Matthew, let's put that yellow substance you extracted from the funeral wreath straight under the microscope.
When I received the diagnosis, I knew at that exact moment, whatever it takes, wherever I have to go, I'm beating this. My main focus was to find a team of doctors that work together.
When a patient comes to CCCA, they're meeting a team of physicians that specialize in the management of cancer. Breast cancer treatment is continuing to evolve, and I would say that CTCA is definitely on the cusp of those changes. Patients could be overwhelmed. We really focus on taking the time with each individual patient so that they can choose the treatment appropriate for them.
The care that CTCA brings.
Oh.
Is one for my patients.
8. Eye patch ointment.
To spend time with them.
Matthew, that yellow gloop you found on the funeral wreath is eye patch ointment.
I empower
Oh,
women
I
of
see.
voices.
It's used on eye patches to keep them soft and clean so they don't irritate the scar they're hiding.
Secure where you are.
You're right, Matthew. There's only one person we know who would need this ointment. One-eyed Jill. The bartender had better have an innocent explanation for sending the victim that macabre wreath.
Silly coot. Hey, what What's this?
Seneca is a laxative. Sometimes I get constipated.
Really?
Yeah.
What does she have to say? Jill, Senior Trooper Matthew found the funeral wreath you sent to the Admiral while he was still alive. What compelled you to do such a thing? Oh, come now. I was just preparing the fella for what was inevitably to come. You mean you knew the Admiral was going to die? Is that because you played a part in his murder? Hell's bells, no. The hotel talks to me, don't you? Don't you know? It told me the Admiral would be next to die. The hotel talks to you? Of course. This place has a lot to tell to the good listeners. Well, Jill, let's hope we don't find out you killed the Admiral because the hotel told you to. And Lot's vanity case.
You people are already working,
47744.
So you're used to this kind of hour.
Yeah, there's no smoking in the building.
Then I'll come back later.
37347.
Are you mad?
2437 Perfect.
Yes. Very good man. Is a good
Got me
heart,
8.
Very generous.
Yeah, so it seems. He
Oh.
confessed to Andrew Harlan's murder.
Matthew, the only item in the Admiral's vanity case was this bottle of pills.
Bad temper.
Seeing that the victim had been drugged, these pills could be vitally important. Let's get them straight to Viola.
Something pills. Yours and Sonia's fingerprints were
12
found in
hours?
the body?
Yes, it is. Alright, I'll see you guys then when that's done. See y'all then. Okay, folks, we are back now, and let's get the results of the bottle of the pills. Matthew, if we're to believe the label on the bottle you found in the victim's vanity case, then it should contain heart medicine. But instead, these pills are a dangerous hallucinogenic concoction designed to cause delirium and despair. So this is how the killer drugged the victim, by switching his heart medicine with hallucinogenic drugs? Exactly. It looks like the poor Admiral was duped into swallowing substance, which ultimately led him to being frightened to death. How tragic. Viola, is there anything else you discovered from the victim's pill bottle? Oh yes. I also found a liquid residue on the bottle which my test revealed to be a combination of brandy, vermouth, and applejack. All the ingredients to make a corpse survivor, one of my favorite cocktails. I knew you'd guess it, Maddie. One-Eyed Jill told us the Admiral didn't drink alcohol, so it must have been our killer who left this corpse survivor residue on the bottle. Matthew, our killer will be swapping corpse survivors for penitentiary water before they know it. And yes, I recall George Okamoto drinking a corpse survivor cocktail when we first saw him. I'll add this evidence to his profile. Matthew, we certainly discovered a great deal, but we still have our work cut out to uncover who killed the Admiral. We now know the killer duped the victim into taking hallucinogenic drugs by swapping his heart medicine with the mind-bending pills. They then used a glowing dog covered in phosphorescent paint to frighten our drugged victim into having a fatal heart attack. George Okamoto was desperate to stay in the victim's room. Could he have checked out the Admiral permanently to get his way? Or was it One-Eyed Jill, the hotel bartender, who murdered the victim because it's what the hotel told her was inevitable? Senior Trooper Matthew, thank goodness I found you. I need your help. I'm being followed by the killer. Oh boy.
The stuff is from 1995.
The ME is working through the DNA.
And we're gonna get to chapter 3 in just a minute. Stay tuned, everyone.
We thought if we cross-referenced
Alright folks, we are back now. Let's start chapter 3 of Doom Service.
Seem to know personal details of her life. You reported the same thing.
Yes, I did. He knew my dog's name, and he knew the restaurant where I sometimes ate breakfast.
Is there anything you've remembered since, or some detail you may have failed to report or came to later?
I'm being followed. It's the Admiral's killer. They're baying for my blood. I managed to shake them off in the hotel bar. They must still be there. Matthew, gun at the ready. Let's see to Mr. Torrance stalkers.
I just want this to end.
Excuse me, Your Honor. We need an arrest warrant.
Matthew, do you see anyone?
Well, this is urgent.
Oh boy. Did you hear that? Someone's hiding behind the couch. Come out with your hands up. Matthew, it's only me. Evie? What on earth are you doing here? I was, looking for Johnny Torrance. You are Mr. Torrance's stalker? No. I just wanted him to sign my copy of his latest book, but I got tongue-tied and ended up following him around the hotel instead. Evie, starstruck or not, stalking is an offense. And what's more, the object of your obsession is a suspect in our case. Your actions could have compromised our investigation. I'm truly sorry, Matthew. I'll return to the airship right away. Now that Evie's no longer causing trouble, let's take another look around the bar, Matthew. Matthew, we have no time to lose if we're to solve this murder.
I can't speak for them, but I'm sure they were trying their best.
I disagree. So I hired a private investigator, someone who answers only to me. These are copies of all his reports. First off, he found the security in my building deficient, but that's another matter. I've got a suit going against them. Then there was the guy on the bike.
What guy?
One of my neighbors in the building where I used to live saw a kid speed away right after it happened. We'd like to talk to him. You should.
I was standing out here sometime, maybe midnight, 1 a.m. Then from the alley, this kid speeds
Moment.
I use my college savings to buy my store. It means everything to me.
Alright.
But we've decided to tear them down.
I think that's a clue. The wallet. Yep. Victim's wallet.
Carry out large street purchases for $7.99 each every day.
I struggle with bipolar depression. It's tough. It leaves me feeling sad and empty. It makes it hard to be there for the people I love. So I talked to my doctor, and she prescribed Latuda.
There are many forms of depression. Latuda is FDA approved to treat bipolar depression, which is different from other types of depression.
Matthew, that wallet bears the victim's initials, OO, for Oliver Oak. We had better take a look inside. And this playing card has a message written on it. Oliver, quit being a joker and pay up. Our victim owed someone money. We had better decrypt the symbols on that card, quick smart. And this box has an anchor on it. Seeing our victim was a naval officer, could this pertain to him? Let's open it and find out. Matthew, surely one of your victim's belongings is bound to illuminate the way to his killer. We're close on their tail. I just know it.
Which can be fatal. Dizziness on standing, seizures, increased cholesterol, weight, or prolactin, trouble swallowing, and impaired judgment. Avoid grapefruit and grapefruit juice. Use caution before driving or operating machinery.
Being there for the people I love.
Bunches of oats.
Okay. And let's get the playing card out of the way first.
Almost everywhere. On almost everybody.
The arm of an arm wrestler?
Oh.
The face of a fairy?
Prescription Eucrisa is a nose-to-toes eczema ointment. It
19119. Okay. Phone rang, but my grandma got it.
Do not use if you are allergic to Eucrisa or its ingredients. Allergic reactions may occur under the application site. The most common side
61916.
effect is application site pain. Ask your doctor about Eucrisa.
5, 6, 1, 5, 9. There we are. 8 energy.
She will never see him stand trial or rape.
Okay, what do you want us to do with the case now?
Let's send these coded numbers you found on the Joker card straight to Evie. That is, if she isn't busy stalking someone again.
Another right-wing end run around the Constitution. Whose side are you on, John? Don't get me wrong, I want this creep as much as anyone, but in the name of cracking down on crime, sometimes I feel we throw civil liberties to the wind.
Hold on, Joe. What are you saying? That if John Doe 121 marched in here right now and confessed to Vicky Kraft's rape, that you'd be okay with letting him go?
Not at all. The same law that protects you and me.
Aha!
There was a time I was a thorn in the government's side, so I'm glad they can't.
There's a photograph of a scantily clad woman in the Admiral's wallet. Blimey, Matthew, you're right. It's a picture of Fleur Stone undressing. Was the relationship between the Admiral and the Pharmacist more intimate than we thought? I agree. We better ask Miss Stone herself.
Special Victims Unit Alumni Association. All the people these assumed these deaths. Where are they now?
Miss Stone, we found this photograph of you in the Admiral's wallet. What exactly was your relationship with him? What? How revolting. Give me that picture at once. Look, I didn't want anything to do with the Admiral, but that dirty old man wouldn't stop trying to have his wicked way with me. His hands would always wander. He was even more disgusting than the fleas I caught off that bartender woman. I got so desperate, I even threatened to have that repulsive man committed. But this photograph shows he decided to spy on me in secret instead. It's honestly a relief to know he won't be able to harass me anymore. I'll have to drink a double corpse survivors just to get over the horror of it all. Miss Stone, you have every right to be angry about the harassment you suffered from the victim, but I hope for your sake it didn't push you to murder him.
But then again, nobody notices. Underemployed, filled with resentment, nobody, like a paper boy or a meter reader.
Yeah, now he's a triple nobody.
What do you mean? DNA matched him to 2 other open rapes. Yeah, I hate to hear that.
When you worked the case, complainant's name was Jennifer Neal. Oh, yeah. What a nice lady.
If we opened the case, anything that you remember might not be your file, we appreciate it.
This guy, you know all about it. Acquaintance. Oh, that's what you'd think.
C6H,
Kind of things that he know. Procedure,
AUE, L13. Got it. A medal. Matthew, that box you unlocked is housing a naval medal. It has to have belonged to our seafaring admiral. There's a faded message on the underside of the box lid. Let's retrieve it.
Ruby, great gal. You know, we never made the connection. Who got the other one?
Detective Dan Latimer.
Oh, hell.
Oh, what about him?
Oh, what can I say? You know the type. Think maybe he should leave the job, but you're not going to badmouth another detective, right? What did he do? Well, he said most rapes were fantasies. He screwed up on a different case, was given the choice to retire or to be fired. He retired. Where is he now? Where is this place? The 1013. It's a cop bar out in Queens. Old timers go there to bitch. You should talk to him.
So, Roy, how would you get out of Special Victims?
On my last case, victims really were all in a day's work, right?
The note written on the Admiral's medal box says, Johnny Boy, something to help with your next book. So our victim sent his medal to Johnny Torrance? Mr. Torrance told us he knew the victim only by sight. This message proves otherwise. We had better get to the bottom of Johnny Torrance's lies, Matthew.
Sex crimes cops are garbage collectors. They get 2 years to
Something
get out
gets
of
from the...
I want to talk to you about one of your old cases.
Senior Trooper Matthew, I've been reading up on pharmaceutical advances for my next book. And wouldn't you agree that the perfect cocktail is essentially just pure alchemy? Okay. Mr. Torrance, as much as I enjoy musing about alcohol, we have more pressing matters. Why did you say you didn't know the Admiral when the message inside this metal box clearly indicates otherwise? I'm afraid I only told you what I wish to be true. The truth is, I wanted to obliterate the Admiral entirely from my thoughts.
What do you think of the case?
I came to this hotel for some solitude, but that belligerent old geezer wouldn't stop nagging me about writing his memoirs. Nagging you? Yes, it was a barrage of tedious anecdotes. I even wrote that silly description to appease the narcissistic sod, but it wasn't enough. I lost days of precious writing because of him, and now I'm suffering from a nasty bout of fleas, which makes it even harder to concentrate. If I don't publish my next novel soon, my literary reputation will be in tatters. Tatters! And that will do. So 5 coins I'm going to get. And it's now time for me to get the rest of the stars, and I'll see you all then. So for now, this is Matthew. Thank you for watching. Alright folks, we have returned, and let's get the results of the numbers. Matthew, I really am mortified by my actions earlier, stalking a suspect. I don't know what came over me. Well, Evie, you can make up for it by telling us what those coded numbers are on the playing cards sent to our victim. But of course, these numbers pertain to a bank account under the name of Gregory Stravinsky. So the victim owed money to Mr. Stravinsky, So much for them being fast friends. I agree, Matthew. Mr. Stravinsky had better explain himself. Senior Trooper Matthew, this is really not the time for another one of your interrogations. I've just taken a remedy I fabricated to combat my darned fleas, but it means I cannot have my usual corpse survivor to calm my nerves. Our questions cannot wait, Mr. Stravinsky. You told us you and the Admiral were bosom buddies, so why were you demanding money from him? How did you find that silly playing card? Now look here, Ollie and I like to dally in a spot of gin rummy for cash, but he's been on a losing streak for months. I try to be patient, but that pompous twerp stubbornly refused to pay what was rightfully mine. I am not to be taken for a fool, Matthew. Well, he's in the running now. Well, Matthew, it's clear Admiral Oliver Oak was not universally liked, but who detested him enough to drug and frighten him to death? We now know Gregory Stravinsky was furious with his best friend because he owed him money, while author Johnny Torrance was positively riled because the victim wouldn't stop nagging him to write his memoirs. And could Fleur Stone have killed the Admiral to stop his unwanted advances once and for all? So what's our next move, Matthew? You're right, the maze is where we found the glowing dog, and it's also the perfect place to hide something incriminating. Let's have another look there, post-haste.
His immunity expired the day he turned 21. She died 10 minutes ago.
I think I see the clues.
Now is the time to get protection.
Although your information may have been taken, it may not have been used fraudulently.
Pig can.
And Life will begin monitoring your personal information, including your social security number. We'll alert you about suspicious
Fishbones,
activity.
flag garland.
If needed, take steps to help restore your identity.
Membership starts at $9.99 per month. Sign up today. LifeLock. We are the coolest brewing company. And our milk.
Matthew, this can is filled with phosphorescent paint. This must be what the killer used to make the dog glow and frighten our victim to death. That strange blue substance on the can is sure to reveal something about the Admiral's murderer. Let's quickly collect a sample. And the tips of these gloves are speckled with the very same paint. The killer must have worn them while painting the poor creature. Let's scoop up those fluffy fibers on the gloves right away. Matthew, just a little more effort and we'll nab the Admiral's nefarious killer. I just know it.
So if there's something better than warfarin, I'll go for that too. Eliquis. Eliquis reduces the risk of stroke better than warfarin. Plus had less major bleeding than warfarin. Eliquis had both.
Stop taking Eliquis unless your doctor tells you to. As stopping increases your risk of having a stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. While taking Eliquis, you may bruise more easily, and it may take longer than usual for any bleeding to stop. Seek immediate medical care for
Looks like 7. Yep, 7 energy. Matthew, let's send the fluff you picked up from the killer's gloves straight to Viola.
I'm still going for my best. And for Eliquis.
ask your doctor about Eliquis.
This will be 9 hours. And I know this one will be 15.
Complicated relationship. So I came up with Oh That's Good, a new line of comfort sides with a nutritious twist. It's not some yummy cauliflower into our mashed potatoes, but you only taste the love. See what I mean? Oh yeah. Comfort food that wants you back.
Here we go. Viola is our best bet at determining the provenance of the strange liquid you extracted from the killer's paint can, Matthew.
America's best. You won't overpay for contact lenses either.
You gotta tell more people about this. I'd be shouting it from the rooftops.
Would you?
It's a metaphor.
It's not just a better deal. It's America's best.
Mom still thinks Burlington is the place for guns. This time
14 hours. And I'll see you all then when these two are finished. Okay, we have returned. I'm going to get the results of the blue liquid first. Matthew, I know time is of the essence, so I'll get straight to the point. The liquid you picked up from the killer's paint can was a blend of rubbing alcohol, liquidized dish soap, and water. All the essential ingredients to keep the lenses on your spectacles sparkling clean. Do you mean to say the killer wears glasses, Viola? Exactly, Maddie. And while the killer's morals may be muddied, their spectacles certainly won't be. Well, Matthew, clean glasses or not, the Admiral's murderer will be seeing double once they hear their hefty jail sentence.
Do we still have a unit with Brady?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring him in.
You 100% answer regard that Irish weather quick? I do. I mean, I can get it.
Fluffy particles now.
Said I know that was suspicious.
Matthew, the sample you brought me from your killer's gloves is making me miss Cujo. I hope he's happy at the shelter. You see, it's fur belonging to the glowing dog that the killer used to frighten our victims to death. Bingo! Viola, please tell me the dog's hair has also revealed something telling about the Admiral's perpetrator. Well, mixed in with the fur were particles of Dr. Strangelove's all-powerful mole remedy. It's used to protect moles from sunburn. Dick confirmed that your victim's face was unblemished, which means your killer is the one sporting a mole. So, Matthew, it seems a mole marks the spot when it comes to our villainous murderer. They won't get away from us now. Matthew, we've amassed enough evidence to arrest the Admiral's killer. Let's go get them.
No worries. Understood?
So it's not Stravinsky. It's definitely not One-Eyed Jill. OMG, it's Johnny Torrance. Johnny Torrance, we're placing you under arrest for the murder of Admiral Oliver Oak. Senior Trooper Matthew, I see you're suffering from a muddlement of fiction and fact. Don't despair, it happens to the best of us. The only fiction here are the lies you've been feeding us, Mr. Torrance. Now let me tell you the hard facts that led us to you. You left traces of your favorite corpse survivor cocktail on the Admiral's medicine bottle when you switched his heart pills for hallucinogenic drugs. Come now, this hotel bar is known for its corpse survivors. I am certainly not alone in enjoying them. Still itchy from your bout of fleas? We know you caught them from the dog you used to frighten the drugged Admiral to death. With such an imagination, you should be a writer, Senior Trooper Matthew, not me. I caught the fleas from this crumbling, bug-infested hotel, not some dog. Then how do you explain your lens cleaning liquid ending up on the can of phosphorescent paint that you used to make the dog glow? It's too late for more lies, Mr. Torrance. We know it was you. Why did you do it? For my craft, of course. That's why I killed that blasted Admiral. Look, I wanted one of the characters in my next book to be frightened to death, but as all my fans know, I'm a wordsmith of integrity. I only write what is true. Which is why I needed to determine if it was indeed possible to die from fear, and the Admiral just happened to be a convenient guinea pig for my research. A convenient guinea pig? So this is how much you value life? Oh, one can never expect such illiterate and unimaginative minds as yours to understand my genius. It was child's play entering the Admiral's room while he was otherwise occupied in the bar, which meant I had no difficulty switching his heart pills for the hallucinogenic concoction I had created. I then found a stray dog which I covered in phosphorescent paint, let him loose in the old man's bathroom, and sat back to enjoy the show. It worked better than in my wildest dreams, I tell you. The look of terror on the Admiral's face was pure poetry. Well, you'll have plenty of time to write up all about it in prison. Johnny Torrance, you're under arrest for this despicable murder. Mr. Torrance, I've read some of your novels, but nothing you've written is as outlandish as the crime for which you are standing trial. How do you plead to the murder of Admiral Oliver Oak? Guilty, but I have mitigating circumstances, Your Honor. The Admiral had to be sacrificed in the name of literature. Frightening an innocent man to death can never be deemed a worthy sacrifice, Mr. Torrance. Well, you can at least give me credit for creativity. Only a writer as talented as I could have thought of such an imaginative method of murder. Believe me, no amount of imagination will keep you from escaping the long arm of the law. Johnny Torrance, you are hereby sentenced to life in prison for the heinous murder of Admiral Oliver Oak. At least I'll finally get the peace and solitude I've been yearning for. Matthew, I still can't believe my all-time literary hero turned out to be a murderous deviant. It just goes to show you can never really know a person. Surely only someone who wasn't of sound mind would do such a thing. Talking of sound minds, our original reason for coming to the Claiborne Hotel was to find out more about the shady dealings happening at the Gryphon Sanctuary Mental Asylum. Now we saw the murder of Admiral Oak. We can do just that. Once more onto the breach, Matthew.
To me, home should feel like a vacation from the world. This is all about giving to Emily. My parents, my sister Sarah. House is the website and an app.
Taking a look at the other ones. George Okamoto cleared early. No fleas. Fleur Stone, no mole. One-Eyed Jill cleared from the start. Gregory Stravinsky, no glasses. It was Johnny Torrance. And I'll see you guys for Lost Souls 5-6. Okay, folks, we have returned. Let's start Lost Souls 5-6. Matthew, now that we put Admiral Oak's killer behind bars, we can turn our efforts to our original objective, uncovering more about the shady goings-on at the Gryphon Sanctuary Mental Asylum. We already know Faith Woodford was committed into the asylum simply because her family deems her a nuisance. And we also know that the late Dr. Blackmore had more than questionable healing practices. We also know that many of the Gryphon staff are permanent guests at the Claiborne, which is why it could be the perfect place to find out more about the asylum. Sorry to interrupt, Matthew, but there's a strange woman wearing an eye patch demanding to have a word with you. You must be talking about One-Eyed Jill. I wonder what she wants. Matthew, I'll join you to speak with her. And Bontemps, maybe you could search the hotel bar with Matthew and see if we can learn more about the Gryphon staff there. Senior Trooper Matthew, I'm in a great tiz, don't you know? Whatever is the matter, Jill? I've been hearing all sorts of moans and groans coming from the bathroom in room 237, where that murder happened. The Admiral's ghosts come on back from the dead to haunt us nice and proper, and unruly ghosts aren't good for business. I'm sure there's a perfectly logical explanation for these noises, Jill. But to ease your mind, Senior Trooper Matthew and I will take a look at the bathroom right away. Thanking you kindly, and take this. It will help you see the ghosts and ghouls from the underworld more clearly. Okay. Aha. Broken device. Fountain pen coins. Oh. I clicked on the handprint. Why didn't it give it to me? Wow, 2 times already that happened.
He's claiming data texting. Still, see what you're saying.
Mouthy, do you think this broken device could have something to do with those noises One-Eyed Jill heard? I mean, unless you believe her when she says the room is haunted. Haha, I didn't think so. Alright, Mouthy, let's piece this device together. Broken device now? I bet this has got to be some kind of tape recorder.
Prescription Eucrisa is a nose-to-toe taxable. It blocks overactive PDE4 enzymes within your skin. And it's steroid. Do not use allergic reactions may occur autoimmune.
Mouthy, this is one of the most bizarre contraptions I've ever encountered. I haven't a clue what it might be, but I know someone who might. My darling Charlie. Let's send this strange machine to him at once.
At an extra cost to pay to just get paid for talking.
24. Briefcase. Newspapers.
Sign up for free. Shop your favorite stores.
Coconuts, piano, and... bananas, and I messed that up. Mouthy, this briefcase has the Gryphon Sanctuary logo on it. Let's unlock it and see what's inside. See what lies inside.
When you're building for the future, it's not often there it is. Right below our feet. Ever-expanding
69.
fiber-rich network designed to connect
F17. Ugh.
which is why we'll never go
3B8.
future.
A capital find, Matthew. The briefcase you unlocked is holding an admissions ledger for Gryphon Sanctuary. It should give us the details of everyone who is committed into the mental asylum. If there are any secrets in this ledger about Gryphon Sanctuary, Evie's our best bet at uncovering them. Let's send it to her. 9 hours? Yep. I'll see you guys then when that is done. See y'all later. Hey folks, we have returned, and let's get the results of the ledger. Matthew, that ledger you sent me is the most ridiculous thing I have ever laid eyes on. You see, the ledger shows that people are being admitted into the asylum for the most infuriating reasons. One patient, for instance, was committed for reasons of laziness, another for jealousy. And the one that really takes the biscuit is a patient whose only evidence of supposed insanity was novel reading. I know in modern days people do often get committed into asylums on bizarre grounds, but these seem truly excessive.
Accepting credit cards like this. But Square's new reader keeps you safer if you take cards like this or like this.
And Matthew's right. This means Faith Woodford might not have been the only person committed despite being of sound mind. Exactly. There may be a number of perfectly healthy individuals who are wrongfully spending a life sentence in a mental asylum. Matthew, this is even worse than we thought. We must speak to Asylum Director Gregory Stravinsky about this ledger immediately.
1 year after the brutal murder of Shirley Andronowicz.
Let's see what he has to say. Mr. Stravinsky, we found the admissions ledger for Gryphon Sanctuary. Patients are being committed for reasons such as novel reading and laziness. Surely these are not symptoms of insanity. Senior Trooper Matthew, top experts in the field of psychiatry, have deemed these to be perfectly legitimate signs of mental unrest. How dare you question the great Dr. Freudster, who has proven that novel reading leads to an inflamed brain and frayed nerves? Even if these reasons are legitimate, as you say, we have evidence that at least one person of sound mind was wrongfully committed into your asylum. Are you really insinuating that someone from my highly professional team would hospitalize a person who was not actually insane? Senior Trooper Matthew, in my opinion, your paranoid delusions are down to hunger. Here, let me buy you a sandwich from the hotel restaurant. What an infuriating man. Senior Trooper Matthew, sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't help overhearing your conversation with Mr. Stravinsky. And I have some information that might be of interest. Earlier, I heard my Gryphon colleagues talking in the hotel bar about rumors of money changing hands at the asylum for unsavory reasons. Money changing hands? As in bribes and corruption? Exactly. I didn't hear any more, but I'm sure you agree this warrants investigation. Thank you, Miss Stone. This is very useful information indeed, Matthew, since Miss Stone heard her colleagues speaking in the hotel bar, I believe another search around it is paramount. That's right. Being committed for novel reading? Pretty soon they probably might have committed someone for actually speaking their minds.
Jarman said he was at the same bar as Shirley and Ed Andronowicz on the night of the murder, but he didn't speak to them. He said he ran into Shirley Andronowicz later near the high school while she was out walking. Jarman said they talked and had consensual sex. Jarman said he killed Shirley Andronowicz when she threatened to tell her husband. Jarman said he emptied the contents of her purse to make the scene appear to be a robbery. But investigators didn't believe Jarman's entire story. Staff Sergeant Dan Warren,
Tic-tac-toe.
expert who studied the crime scene photos and noticed an inconsistency in Jarman's story. The distance blood travels from a head wound struck by an object the size and weight of a cement block is 10 to 12 feet, creating medium velocity impact spatter.
Matthew, this pile of cushions could well be hiding something. I agree. Let's dive into it.
Medium velocity impact spatter.
The pictures of the evidence actually showed that the contents of her purse had been strewn around at some location in a position where they were exposed.
Will this lead to another analysis?
That Shirley Andronowicz's purse was ransacked before she was murdered, not after.
Oh, envelope with money.
Jarman was convicted of
Matthew, there was an envelope full of money hiding under those cushions. Could all this cash have anything to do with the underhanded goings-on at Gryphon Sanctuary? Let's uncover the faded writing on the envelope and find out.
It's almost half my life. You know, I've been without her. And you can't. I don't know how I'm ever supposed to forgive somebody for doing such a terrible thing to me. There isn't punishment severe enough that we can give this guy for taking something.
The message on the envelope of cash says, "Payment in full for committing my wayward brother without a medical examination." Matthew, this note is definitive proof that someone paid a Gryphon employee to commit their sane relative. Too bad there's no name on the envelope. Still, with such evidence, Mr. Stravinsky will have no choice but to admit that corrupt practices are taking place in his asylum. Let's have another word with him.
During a Christmas party in 1989, 5-year-old Melissa Brannon disappeared. None of the adults or other children at the party.
Mr. Stravinsky, we found a bribe given to an unknown member of your staff in return for admitting a perfectly sane individual. But this cannot be. I refuse to believe someone in my team could be so morally and literally corrupt and right under my nose. Yet this is exactly what is happening. Are you really claiming you had no knowledge of it? I promise you, Senior Trooper Matthew, I had no idea this was going on. Please leave this envelope with me. I shall investigate the matter and punish those responsible. We aren't about to hand you evidence, Mr. Stravinsky, and we will not take your word for anything anymore. It's high time we had a closer look at your establishment and its practices. You shall do no such thing. This is a private matter. I will not let the police force traipse around the grounds and disturb our inmates again. We shall do whatever is needed to ensure your asylum isn't used as a prison for unwanted people. We'll come tomorrow with all the paperwork necessary. You can count on it.
The night of December 3rd, they had a nice layout within the clubhouse, and people spent time getting to know their neighbors.
Tammy Brannon and her daughter Melissa both attended that Christmas party in 1989. Altogether, about 200
the unknown
residents
machine.
of the complex.
Matthew, I don't know who placed this contraption in the Claiborne's bathroom, but I'd very much like to meet them. Have you managed to figure out what it does? Could this be the source of the noises that have the bartender spooked? It most definitely was. As soon as I turned the device on, it started making all manner of strange squeaks, grunts, and wailing sounds. All of which would have sounded like ghosts making a ruckus to poor One-Eyed Jill. Matthew, she'll be relieved to know the room isn't haunted after all. This being said, what exactly does that machine do, and who left it in the room? Well, its function appears to measure the frequency of electromagnetic radiation, a type of invisible energy which moves in waves all around us. Invisible energy? That doesn't sound very safe. Why would anyone want to measure it? You'll have to ask whoever borrowed it from the offices of the Grimm Chapel Historical Society. I found the logo on one of the pieces. The Historical Society? Then Matthew, this machine must have been placed in room 237 by George Okamoto. Matthew, may I go speak with Mr. Okamoto with you? I'm just dying to learn more about this contraption.
Police searched the entire area and questioned everyone who attended the party.
It was very cold out that night. It was pretty imperative that we try to locate her as quickly as possible.
Senior Trooper Matthew, who is this fine-looking gentleman you've brought with you? Charles DuPont, at your service. I'm intrigued by this machine of yours, Mr. Okamoto. Ah, you fixed my Phantom Seeker. I use it to detect ghosts in the vicinity. Ghosts? You're using a machine that can detect electromagnetic radiation to look for ghosts? What else would I use it for? Ghosts emit radiation all the time. That's how to spot them. But, Mr. Okamoto, you cannot seriously be postulating that ghosts exist. Of course they exist, and by placing this machine back into the haunted room 237, I shall prove it. I'm afraid that will not be possible. Your machine is the only thing responsible for the spooky noises coming out of that room, and the hotel will not permit you to use it again. Very well, doubt me all you want, but I shall prove you wrong one day. I shall not be ungrateful, however. Please, Matthew, take this money as a token of my esteem for mending my Phantom Seeker. Matthew, now that the ghosts of the Claiborne have been laid to rest, what did you discover about the Gryphon Sanctuary Mental Asylum? Nothing good, I'm afraid. Faith Woodford wasn't the only poor soul committed to the asylum despite being of sound mind. Matthew found proof that someone in the Gryphon Sanctuary staff is accepting bribes in exchange for committing healthy individuals. What? But this is horrible! The asylum director claims to have had no idea of what was happening, but I don't trust him, especially since he's trying to keep us from investigating further. Well, he shan't succeed. Matthew, it's time to go back to Gryphon Sanctuary and uncover its secrets once and for all.
The original call was for langoustine ravioli. A langoustine is a tiny kind of lobster. It's like shellfish allergy.
And that's gonna do.
Constant contact email marketing.
And I will assure you that when this case comes out October 19th, in 3 days, I will use something different besides my tablet. But first, let's take a look.
Tonight's all about making comfort food easy. Just sprinkle in a packet of Hidden Valley Ranch and serve up a slice of something delicious. It's time to ranch out with the original Hidden Valley.
2 new ones. I'll get to it.
This is BMW 320
Okay.
sedan for $279 at Hawaii BMW Center. Here's to believing the end of the road is where the real fun begins, and that adventure is never out of reach. When you believe, you can go anywhere. Hurry in, because the Jeep Celebration event only happens once a year. Get 0% APR for 72 months or $7,000 in total cash allowance on the 2017 Jeep Cherokee Limited.
And that'll do. See y'all then.